Welcome to the Total Boss Podcast, and I'm your host, Christiano Green, a podcast where we talk about finding fulfillment through self-development, being a leader of your own life, and getting the most out of it as well. Tenacity, originality, talent, authenticity, and being legendary. It's all about living your best life. Hello, all you total bosses out there, and welcome to another episode of the Total Boss Podcast. I am your host, Christiano Green, and I'm a mindset coach working for gay men, helping them to build up their confidence and find fulfillment, freedom, and fortune in all areas of their life. Now, this week's episode, I wanted to really jump in and talk about the different stages of coming out and how it can play a big part in not only that experience, but experiences going on in life. Because as many of you people know, many of you gay men know that we don't just come out once in our life. We come out many times, right? We come out to sometimes every single person we meet from the time that we come out for the first time till, moving forward. And sometimes, those experiences go really great for us and sometimes they don't. And, before we come out, there's a kind of, a number of stages that we kind of go through that kind of can be difficult for everyone to come to terms with, right? So, the first stage comes down to denial, right? Denying that we are gay. We've got all the thoughts in our head. We go through the process feeling different, knowing that we're different, but denying it. And I know for myself, when I was growing up, I was so far in denial. I was literally repressing all of my feelings. I couldn't even, look at myself in the mirror and even say the words that I am gay because I was in such denial of it being a thing, because I just certainly did not want to be gay, because, at that time especially, it was really quite difficult for people. It wasn't acceptable. It wasn't legal, of course. And, it was really difficult to even come to terms with it myself. So denial is really such a difficult stage. And it can be one of those ones that people go into for, decades, depending on their situation. So I know people that I talk to in my business that people have been in denial of being gay for so many years, and they only took them till really later in life when they were able to truly accept it instead of denying those feelings for themselves. Now, the next stage that people go through when they come out is anger. So being angry about being gay, treating it like it's a really fucking unfortunate event that is irritating or frustrating, and, it does come with a lot of anger because, you start to fucking think, well, what's wrong with me? Why has something happened? Why am I different? Why can't I just be normal, right? So you go through all of this anger towards yourself, and that can play out in so many different ways, right? So, if you're angry at yourself, of course, when, you're around other people, that anger will come out in different ways. I know that when I wasn't ready, I was still going through the process. My sister actually once asked me if I was gay because she had a gay friend in school, and for some reason he'd maybe come to my house and met me, and, he said to my sister that I was gay. And so she asked me once, and I remember just getting so angry about it. I was still in denial at that stage, and just the thought of someone thinking that about me made me so angry because I tried to work so hard to just pretend that I wasn't. I was always pretending to be straight, pretending to be normal, pretending to be not seen, actually, and to have my sister ask me because one of her friends said that I was, or he thought that I was, made me so angry. And I remember just like sitting in the car with her and just really losing it at her in that moment. And so I know that the anger does come and play a big part. And I just remember being angry and wanting to not really be around people because sometimes I couldn't control my own anger, or I didn't want to, because again, if people found out or asked questions or made assumptions or looked at you in a certain way, it would make you angry because, you hadn't fully accepted it yourself. You're still in denial stage. And then there's that anger level that comes through. So that's kind of the stage 2 that comes through when people, come out as being gay or the process of coming out, right? Now, the next stage is the bargaining stage. Now, this is about really thinking that there is a way to convince yourself that you're not gay. you really try to put off the coming out process, and you really try to pass off as straight. So it's really about you just trying to be like, look, these are just thoughts, everyone must have them. This is just me. I'm of course not. I'm not gay at all. No way. There's no way in hell I'm gay. Of course, this is just a phase of thoughts I'm going to go through, and I'll find a girlfriend, get married, and have kids. Blah blah blah. That the stuff that people go through when they're doing it for themselves. And I know for myself, I really, would often have conversations with myself, because we all do. We all talk to ourselves, right? I just remember telling myself all the time, like trying to be like, look, gosh, like every time I would think about something or have a thought about it, or notice something where, that would maybe arouse me, I would just always be trying to bargain with myself and try to shift it around so that I personally wasn't thinking myself as gay. And so I would, even when I was coming through my first stages of experimentation, I was always bisexual, still, never gay. It was just that level of me being bi, because I never wanted to admit it or own it. And it was just a phase that I was going to go through. I'm testing out my sexuality. I was young, blah, blah, blah. But in fact, I was always gay, I was never attracted to women. But again, it was just the bargaining process, or the bargaining stage, that really had me thinking and processing and trying to, like I said, talk myself out of being gay. And of course, that can happen for, like I said, for gay men for many, many years, decades, right? Like I said, there are a lot of people who go down the path of getting married and having kids only to come out really later in life, or still spend their whole life bargaining, because again, they don't want to fully admit it again. So, all of these stages, not everyone gets through to the next level, right? And you'll see that there'll be a lot of people that hold themselves off in certain stages. And I'm sure, you can understand that there'll be probably a lot of people that would probably stop themselves in this bargaining stage, really trying to keep talking to themselves, keep telling themselves that they are straight or bisexual, or that this is that, and these are just urges, and they keep, like I said, holding themselves off from really meeting their needs for love in the way that, they were meant to meet them. But again, holding themselves back because they've caught themselves up into a life where they just don't think they can get out of, right? And so, again, some people do this for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, even more, depending on that. Some people their whole life. And like I said, it'll hold people back from truly being able to get through the stages to, to the final ones, which is acceptance there. But next stage after bargaining comes down to depression, which is fucking, the most awful stage for the whole coming out process, right? This is about really becoming sad, upset, about thinking about all of the challenges that you're going to have about being gay. How much harder life will be, the loss of an easier life as being a straight person, and all of the possibilities of people rejecting them or discriminating against you, I know when I was coming out, I was in such a deep depression with it. I honestly thought that everyone was going to hate me. I thought my family was going to disown me. I felt that, all of the thoughts that I was thinking about myself were true. I thought that I was worthless. I thought that I was a loser. And I thought that I was nothing. And so going through this stage was the most difficult for me, and it made me isolate myself even more, because again, I didn't want anyone to even consider me being gay, which is why, earlier on I got angry, because there's that depression that comes along with it. And really, if you've ever, so many people have gone through this process would understand what it's like to truly struggle coming out, and really understanding how difficult it is to think that, if you told someone about who you really are, that they would reject you, that they would stop loving you, that they would disown you, that they would hate you, right? Now, I can imagine for many people out there that it was a hell of a lot worse than it was for me. When it came to reality, like for me, like I had a very, very supportive, loving family who didn't have any problems with it at all. They just wanted me to be happy. But that didn't stop the fact that I still thought that it was going to be the opposite way around, I still thought that it was such a problem, that it was wrong. And it was such a difficult thing to process that it held me back from doing it for many, many, many years, right? I was 21 when it came out. And for some people, that's very young still, but also for a lot of people, that's quite late as well, right? And you can imagine probably some of the actions that I would have done. I was still living in my family's home. I would literally hide away in my room all the time, crying or literally listening to music, trying to pretend that I was straight or whatnot, or trying to figure out how I could, get through this. And that depression stage was there for a number of years, right? And it led to a lot of dark times, a lot of dark thoughts, a lot of really difficult moments for me. And, and I know it's, like I said, so difficult for so many men. This is probably one of the toughest stages there. And again, not everyone gets to this stage because, again, you will stop at the bargaining stage and try to live a normal, straight life. But getting to this depression and really realizing all the things that can happen to actually realize that, you could lose people, that people are going to judge you, and how much harder it's going to be for you being gay than it is to being straight. Because, like I said, you've got to work twice as hard to get half as much sometimes when you're not in the majority, right? And so being a minority, it can be so much more difficult because, there's a lot of people out there who weren't accepting of it, especially back then. And of course, it's gotten better, but it's still nowhere near equality at all for the LGBT community at all, right? And this is not just in my country or any of the countries that I live in, but there's some places where it's fucking even worse for people, where they can be killed and murdered and, even worse, attacked and locked up and imprisoned, and all of the different things that can really happen to people for being, different. So I know that for me, I'm only coming from my perspective here, but I also know how much worse it can be. So for people there, like, there is serious, even more serious things that can happen in life when if you have to even come to terms with admitting that you are gay. So really hiding in the closet is a massive depression, because again, there's fears and fears and fears and fears and fears and fears and fears around all of the things that for some people are really a reality. And so for me, for those people, I have my heart going out to those people, because how much more difficult it would be. And so for those people who do come out even in those situations, I have so much respect and strength for those people that they would do that even in the face of all of those adversities as well. So this stage of depression along the journey is probably one of the hardest stages, of course, because again, many people may not get out of this stage, and some people end up ending their life, right? Suicide rates are so much higher in the gay community, and attempted suicide and suicide is 1 in 10 gay men will attempt it, right? Which is huge, right? So those numbers are high because of this level of being in depression. This is why depression, people are 3 times more likely to be depressed if being in the gay community and have anxiety, right? Because you're living in fear all the time. So these things create anxiety and fear and depression around that as well. So this is just really quite the stage that people get to. And the final stage of acceptance is probably one that not every single gay man will ever get to, right? Some people don't reach a stage. And, of course, it's the stage that obviously brings out the light from the darkness, and you get to, move past the pain, but it still doesn't stop there, right? Accepting that you are gay is that part for you to start living life on your terms, where you can start to accept yourself as who you truly are, accept yourself as being okay and being right and being, loving and being deserving of loving and being worthy, right? Accepting of all those things will take you to a whole new level, right? And then it starts the level of healing to move past all of those stages of coming out as gay that can really play effects on gay men's life, which is why, I do what I do and I work with gay men, because again, not everyone gets to the stage of acceptance. And at that acceptance stage is a beautiful, powerful experience. But again, like I said, there's so much more work to be done, even just by accepting it, because you still have to fix and heal yourself from all those past traumas of the whole coming out experience. And again, now I know that these days for some people, the coming out experience is a lot easier, so they may not have had to go through each stage so deeply, but it's still an internal battle that you have to face and come up against, because again, you may have your family that loves and accepts you, and maybe you've been able to come out to them from a very young age, but not every single person in your life that you meet is going to be so accepting and so loving and so kind, right? So this is why this stage is also one of the hardest ones to really, really, truly own, because again, as gay men, we don't just come out once in our life. We come out every single time we meet someone new. We come out to all of our different friendships, all of our different family members, all of the different people that are in our life. And sometimes, again, not everyone's going to be so accepting of that. So really going through these stages, you can move up and down sometimes, because again, you might be so open and so willing to communicate and share all this stuff with your family because they love and accept you. But you might have, say, some grandparents who are maybe religious or not as accepting of it, and to come out to them might be a completely different experience. And you might meet some people in your workplace, and some of those people may not be accepting of it, and it might be difficult for you to come out to them. So for you might have some more issues going up. And so, like I said, it's not just the one time that we ever come out. And so this is why this whole coming out experience plays such a pivotal point on people's lives, because it really does affect people and how they live their life. It causes a lot of depression, causes a lot of anxiety. And these issues continue resurfacing because, again, there's so many times in our life that we have to come out as gay men. And so growing older, meeting new people can be amazing, but it also can come with a lot of challenges as well, which is why, again, I do what I do to help gay men to really move past all of this trauma so they can really honestly get to that level of acceptance where it doesn't matter who you meet, because you owning you is what is going to allow yourself to not be judged. Because when you don't judge yourself for who you are, no one else can judge you for it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? But again, that acceptance is really a difficult process to get to fully, because again, of all the different times and experiences where we have had to come out or where we will still have to come out, right? And sometimes, again, it's not like you're officially coming out to someone when you meet them, but I don't know how many times I've had conversations with people and people have to ask me that if I'm gay, right? It's a conversation that people want to have with me, and obviously I don't care talking about it. I'm proud of it as part of who I am, not only who I am. There's one part of it, but it shouldn't be the conversation that is defined by me, right? So me getting asked because people want to make assumptions and want to find that out, well, that's about what they want, right? It's not necessarily about what I want to talk about, but like I said, people get intrigued. So having to come out and have that conversation, understanding that you don't know what everyone else is thinking or feeling, can be really difficult. And I can see how, it's played out in my life in the past, and how, working through those traumas and healing my past from all of that has allowed me to get to the place where I am today, where I truly accept myself and I have no problem with my sexuality. And like I said, I wear it as a badge of honor. It's a part of me. It's not the only part of me, but it's something that I say, look, I'm proud to be this way, because look how much love I have in my heart, how much I've had to overcome and how much strength I've had to build up, that these are gifts that I've been given because of all the adversities that I had to overcome. So like I said, I look at all of the heartaches, the bullying, the depression, the anxiety, the suicidal thoughts, the addiction issues that I've had to suffer, because again, in these areas, when it comes to the stage of coming out, this is where some of these things are formed, right? Because dealing with depression, people go to alcohol and drugs to try to relieve some of that pressure and pain, right? And, like I said, sorrow loves company. So if you're meeting other gay men who are in that same stage, drinking and drugs with those people can allow you to connect to them on a level of sorrow, but also then allow yourself to work on trying to have fun in a different environment. So like I said, there's so many things that happen to gay men because of this experience, and it's not about them being gay that's the problem. It's about society's views of being gay. So that's the big thing that I want people to understand. Being gay has never been the problem. It's what other people in society have put on us, which is why it's been so hard for us to come out. Because again, straight people never have to come out as being straight, right? White people never come out as being white. You're white, right? You're straight. People who are different races. You can see those things. But for someone who is when it comes to their sexuality like that, or even gender when it comes to people who are, not necessarily comfortable in the skin that they were born in, or they aren't, from that body in their mind, right? They have the struggle because it's an internal battle first, which they have to go through and come out internally, which is why it's such a difficult process for people, because coming out is an internal battle that sometimes really plays a part in a lot of ways. So that's really what I wanted to talk about today. And I really would love to hear any comments that you might have about any of the stages of coming out. So we've got denial, we've got anger, we've got bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And really think about this honestly and go, where am I at? Like, am I really, truly, fully 100% accepting of it? Or is there still a part of me that I need to own and come to terms with so that I can truly have a much more fulfilling, happy, and free life, because, once you can accept yourself as who you are, how much more freedom do you think you'd have, right? So that's really what I wanted to share today. So I'd love to hear any comments that you have about where you are, maybe some of the struggles that you've had. I'd love to hear you. You can connect with me in the comments below. You can reach out to me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I love hearing from you guys, and I really appreciate all you guys who have commented in the past, shared me questions or your viewpoints, because it really just makes me continue the conversation. So let's continue the conversation. And yeah, I'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to leave it there, guys. I'll be back next week. Thank you so much for listening today. And always remember that you have got this. You have so got this, and I've got you. Take care, guys. Catch you next time.